Hello everyone, my name is Omiru and welcome to this walkthrough video where I'm going to show you how I made my latest track Remedy, which was released on Backlit music. So let's start by looking at the project right from the beginning. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the main instrument in the breaks, which is this electric guitar right here. So it's a electric guitar loop which I chopped here so it matches the chords that I have in this track. And yeah, in the first 8 bars it's playing only one chord, and then comes in the actual chords, and then I have these 2 additional guitar loops which add a bit to the overall sound, and let me show you them. And together they sound like this. So those are the guitars. Then I have this pad which sounds like this. And also the pad is playing only one chord in the beginning. And this one is from Serum. Yeah, and then there is this texture pattern that I made. And this one is from Labs. And then we have this guitar bass coming in. This one is from Flex. Yeah, then there is some ambience going on in the background. And another one coming a bit later. And then there's also this third one. So those are the ambience stuff. Yeah, and then we have some effect sounds and fills like this. Then some reverse sweeps or synths, as well as this subriser. Then this pluck sound. Yeah, and then there is a kick drum coming in. And this kick drum I made it by using 2 different sounds. This is the lower kick. And then there is this top kick. And a bit later on there comes in some cinematic drums. As well as couple claps. Yeah, and then we are coming into the, let's say, hands up section. And here we have this top piano melody introduced, which sounds like this. Yeah, I've processed it a bit. So without all the processing, it sounds like this. Yeah, so I have some EQing going on. Then some, a bit of reverb. Then I have OTT to compress the sound. And then I also have a sound codizer. And then I have another EQ to clean up the sound a bit more. Yeah, then the guitar bass, actually I take it away and turn it into a respace, and I fade the guitar bass away with this high pass filter, so it takes all the lows away before going into the hands-up section. Yeah, so there we have this respace, and this one is from Spire. Yeah, there I have this EQ, because the original sound sounds like this. Yeah, so with the EQ I turn it into a nice sounding respace. And then here I added a piano chords which sound like this. So this one is from Nexus. Yeah, and also this piano I have processed a bit, so it sounded like this before the processing. So here I have this EQ first, where I cut the lows and reduced a bit from the mid area. Then I have this reverb, so with the reverb I put the piano really into the background. Then I have OTT. So I compressed the sound a bit more, as well as with sound codizer. Then I have another EQ. Yeah, I took more away the lower frequencies. And then a final EQ where I carved the sound a bit more. So I reduced from the mid area more, and also did another high and low cut. So the piano in the end sounds actually quite thin. And yeah, and then I added also this filter to filter out the highs even more. Yeah, and then comes in the leads, and the leads I start to introduce already here. So I have the filter automation, so they open up slowly, and then I also have this volume automation, so they come in slowly into the hands-up section. Yeah, so that's the leads. I'll show you them a bit better when we come into the drop. And then I added also one of these drop synth layers. So this one is from Silent. And then, yeah, there's some FX sounds, like a downlifter, an impact sound, and then a few more FX sounds for the transition. Yeah, and also in this hands-up section I took away the electric guitar as well as one of the other guitar loops to give more space for the leads and all the other stuff. And then we are coming into the build-up. So let me show you all the build-up stuff. So here I obviously filter down the leads and the drop chords. Yeah. And also now I'm introducing the sub bass to give a bit more low end to the build-up to add, I think, more energy. But with the sub bass I have this volume automation so that it's not that loud in the build-up. And also towards the end of the build-up I'm cutting out all the lows so that the sub bass fades away before the drop. Yeah, and then let me show you all the build-up stuff. So first up we have this snare roll. And another one. And then one that I made myself in the piano roll. And there I have this pitch automation. And then we have some uplifters. Then I have this impact sound. Yeah, and also I have these fills that leads into the build-up. Yeah, and also I had this downlifter sound. So there you go, that's the drop. So let me start off with the lead so we can take a bit closer look into those. So let me show you all the individual layers quickly. And then I have this white noise layer to give more attack to the leads. So let me put the leads one by one on. And then we can take a quick look to the processing. So there we have all the lead sounds in their own mixer channels, where I have some EQing going on to some of the sounds, something like this. And then all the sounds go into this leads bus channel. There I have the actual processing of all the leads. So I have this high and low cut. Then I have Camel Crusher for the distortion and for compression. And then I also have OTT to compress and glue the sounds together a bit more. And then I have this soft clipper which tames some of the transients of the sound. Then I have the reverb, and here I have actually a quite huge reverb for the leads. So without the reverb the leads sound like this. When I put on the reverb, and here I control the volume of the reverb with the P controller. So then I have this second bus for the leads, where I have another EQ where I cut out the lows and highs again. Then I have reduced a bit from this mid area, as well as another EQ where I shaped the overall sound a bit more. And then I have these filter plugins for the automations, and then I have a kickstart for the sidechain. So those are the leads, and then we have this drop piano. And the drop piano consists of two piano sounds, but the true pianos one isn't working right now. And then we have this Nexus piano. Then I have these drop synths or saw chords, and there I have 3 different sounds for those, so let me show you them individually. So those are the drop chords, and here I have them once again in their own channels, where I've made some little processing, mostly EQing. Something like this. And here I have the channel for the drop piano, and here I have also some processing like EQing, OTT, bit of that, and a bit of reverb, and then another EQ, and here they are all routed to the drop chords bus, and here I have EQ for the high and low cut, and another EQ where I have reduced from the mid areas to give more space for the leads and the mid bass. And these filters for the automation and a kickstart for the sidechain. Then we have the mid bass. And the mid bass consists of 4 different layers. Let me show you them one by one. And let's take a look at the processing. So here we have once again all the bass sounds in their own channels. So this was the lower bass. So I took away some of the higher frequencies because those weren't really needed. And then we had this second one. So as you can hear, this one is filling the higher frequencies, so I got quite a lot actually from the lower frequencies. And for this bass I also added a flanger to give it a bit more movement in the stereo field, so without the flanger it sounds like this. And when I put it on, and then was this third one. So here I have, once again, some EQing to carve the sound, and a sound codizer to beef it up, and some additional EQing where I lowered the higher frequencies a bit. And this one sounded before processing like this. And when I add all the plugins, and then we had this last bass sound, and here I have again an EQ and another EQ for further adjustment to the sound. Then I have routed all the sounds into one bus, and here an EQ for the high and low cut, and overdrive, and then an EQ where I shape the overall sound to fit in the mix better, and also a last EQ to, yeah, where I cut out once again the unnecessary low frequencies as well as the higher frequencies, and here with this bell I made more space for the leads. And here I have also the filter plugins for the automations and kickstart for the sidechain. And then we have the sub bass. And for the sub bass I've used FL Studio's own plugin 3x oscillator, which I often use for the sub bass. And in the sub bass channel we have this camel crusher to add a bit more distortion and to compress the sound. And then I have this simple EQ where I took all the unnecessary highs away. And then we have this high pass filter for the automation, and then lastly kickstart for the sidechaining. And lastly, in the instrument side we have this drop arp. So this is a sound that I also use very often in my tracks, and this one consists of two different layers. The one is from Nexus and another one is from Spire. And in the drop arp I have some EQing going on as well as some distortion, and then I have Valhalla Supermassive for the reverb / delay, and then another EQ as well as filter for, I guess, for the automation. Not sure if it's in any use. Yeah, it is. And then I have a kickstart once again for the sidechaining. So yeah, then we can go into the drums. So on top we have the kick. So here I have this EQ. So I have reduced volume from this frequency area because often there might be a bit too much going on in this area, which makes the kick sound a bit boxy. So I just tightened the kick drum with this EQ. So let's take a listen without the EQ and then with the EQ so you can hear the difference. So yeah, that's that, and then I have a filter which might not be in any use, but this one is in use. So this EQ I use in the intro and outro sections where I take the lows away with this EQ. So yeah, I just automate this mix level. So that's the kick, and then I have some cymbals and claps going on. So first up I have this rhythmic ride. Yeah, so then we have this clap, another clap, another ride, as well as third ride. Then I have these fills. Yeah, and then we have a shaker loop to add rhythm. And here in the second part of the drop I introduce a couple more top loops. This first one is a percussion loop. Then I have this loop as well. So those are the drums. Then I have some effect sounds, downlifters and ambience. So let me show you the downlifters. And together. So those are the downlifters. Then I have a few ambience loops going on in the background. And then in the middle of the drop, I have these fills. And also I forgot to show this in the build-up, so it's the same here in the build-up. Then I also have these two uplifters in the second drop. So that's pretty much everything about the first drop. And then we can go into the second break. And in the second break, there's not much any new stuff going on, except I added these staccato strings. Yeah, it's pretty much the same as in the first break, except now when the drums come in, the claps are playing every other beat. And then I also added another fill sound. And then, yeah, and also I added another clap, which is a stadium clap. Yeah, so as you can hear now that we are going into the, I don't know if it's a bridge or yeah, whatever it is called. But anyway, now I don't have the leads playing like fully blasted, but instead I have them filtered down like this. And here I have this, I used to call it a build-up reverb, which I used also in the first break. And that reverb I use in the same way as basically Endless Smile is being used. So I have this huge reverb, so I added this a bit here, so it makes the leads a bit more spacious. So here everything is a bit more settled down before going into the second build-up, and also the second build-up I start a bit more gently than in the first build-up. So the second snare build-up is muted in the first part. Yeah, and then there is this impact sound is muted, but instead I use this impact sound. And I added a couple new riser sounds. So the first one sounds like this. And the second one sounds like this. Yeah, and also now I have this uplifter sound playing also. So that wasn't in the first build-up. Yeah, also now in the second build-up I introduce or play this drop piano right from the beginning of the build-up, and then I also start to play all the drop chord synths in the second part, so it adds a bit more energy to the build-up. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything about the build-up. And yeah, the second drop is obviously the same as the first one, except here in the second drop, in the second part of it, I play the top piano also. Okay, so now I think I've shown you pretty much everything about the instrumental side of the track. So I can quickly show you the vocal. So these vocal stems were already very high quality sounding, so I didn't need to make much of a processing to those, but let me show you them quickly in the mixer. So here I have all the stems in their own channels, but I basically only panned some of the stems to the right and to the left, and then I've also adjusted the volume of those. Yeah, basically I only have here in the main or the lead vocal, I have this EQ where I reduced a bit in this area because I felt like it was a bit too muddy, so I made it a bit tighter with this EQ, and also I took the lows away. And in this Ad Libs channel I have this reverb which I used in between the drop and the second break. So the ad-libs, I put those more into the background. You're the only antidote that keeps me. So yeah, that's that. Also here, when going into the bridge and the second build-up, I also added the reverb to the ad-libs, so they are more in the background. So yeah, and then when we look at the actual vocal bus, well, I have some processing going on, basic EQ, high and low cut, then another EQ where I only like tamed the frequencies in this area. And then I have this Valhalla Supermassive for the automation, and that one I used with this automation. So when there is no singing, I added a bit of that reverb to fill out the space. And then I have this peak controller and delay, so this output signal of the wet signal is linked to the peak controller, so when I play the vocal you can hear it. You're the only medicine that keeps the world from caving in on me. Yeah, and here, as you can see, I have this automation for the peak controller, so when this empty space comes in, I increase the wet output signal, so the delay can be heard in this part. Like that. Then I have another delay, and this is fully automated. So this one I'm using, for instance, in this part. So you can look at the wet output signal. So yeah, that's that. Then I have this limiter, and this I use to tame some of the peaks. And then I have a peak controller for the actual reverb of the vocal, and those I have in their individual channels. So I have this long reverb, which is the main reverb, and I used this Valhalla Vintage Verb for that, and I am controlling the volume of the reverb with this Fruity Balance plugin.
Found me when you put your hands on.
Like so. And yeah, then I also added this, well, short reverb, or yeah, let's say this only like puts the vocal in a certain space. And lastly, what I can show you is I have this vocal sidechain bus, so I route basically all the instruments, leads and break instruments and so on into this bus where I have this EQ, so whenever the vocal is playing, these couple frequency areas are reduced, so it gives more space for the vocal.
Found me when you put your hands on.
Like that. So yeah, I think that's the vocal. I can quickly show you some of the like harmony layers and so on, so you can hear those separately.
I was drifting out to sea until I was drifting out to sea until you came and found me. When you put your hands on me, that's when I found.
And also then we have this lower sounding stem.
Everything I need.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything about the vocal as well. So yeah, I think I've now shown you the whole project, at least everything important stuff about it. I hope I didn't miss anything too special. Well, I think I can quickly show you also the intro and the outro. So here I combined some of the drop elements and the break elements. So I have some of the guitar sounds playing, then I used staccato string, and then I also have these top piano melody notes, and then I have the drop arp and the drums, but they are very minimal here, so I have only this one ride, and in the second part there comes in another ride and one of the claps. And then there are the fills and only the shaker loop, which plays in the second part. Then I have some of the ambience and then some risers, downlifters, and one of the snare rolls. Yeah, so that's the intro, and then in the outro I have the top piano melody, a couple of the guitar loops and the drop arp. Then I also have the drop piano and the mid bass and the sub bass, and then some of the drums. Almost all the drums are playing in the first part. Then I also have a couple of the drum loops, and then I have these ambience loops, then some downlifters, drop ambience, and these same risers and stuff. And when the second part of the outro comes in, I take most of the stuff out. So there is playing only the kick drum, one of the rides, and then some build-up stuff like risers and the snare roll. So yeah, I think I've now shown you pretty much everything about this track. So I really hope you enjoyed this walkthrough, and I hope you enjoy the song. Keep listening to it, and yeah, I guess that's it. So thanks for watching, and see you.